Is Madison Avenue unpurposely trying to cause divorce, break apart families, and even diminish the value of family? Hey everybody, this is Emily Josephine, and I'm still talking about the benefits of minimalism. But for the moment, this will be the last video that I put up on that topic. I'm not saying this is the very last video. I'm going to talk about the benefits of minimalism. I may come up with some more in the future, but this is a big one, and it's going to shock some of you. Maybe not at the very basic level, but some of the other things I'm going to get into. So when you become a minimalist, you get out of the consumer mindset, and when you get out of the consumer mindset, you can no longer be manipulated by the marketers, the marketing, and this is huge because, it's probably not a shock to most people watching that marketers manipulate, okay, the advertisers, the companies hire people who are good in advertising, who can manipulate people. They can push just the right buttons and make them think they need this certain thing. That's manipulation, and this is wrong, folks. Okay, this is not okay. This is not ethical. And in the future, probably the near future, I'm going to do a whole other video about ethics in internet marketing and different things like that, or just marketing in general. But yeah. And I realize, I'm aware of, of that basic level that goes on. However, I recently read a novel called The Curtain by Patrick Ord, and I'm going to recommend that everybody read this, even though it's not the greatest book I think this is the guy's first book. I don't know if he has any other books written yet. It's his first book. Besides proofreading errors, missing commas and stuff like that, the characterization isn't all that great, but even though it's not the greatest story per se, the message in the story is something I want all of my viewers to get. I'm guessing the vast majority of my viewers are into homesteading. They're into becoming more self-sufficient. They're into getting out of the conventional mainstream way of doing things. And a big thing is to understand how big marketers manipulate. I'm going to take the liberty of quoting some pieces out of this novel. I'm grabbing from my Kindle right now. Some parts out of this novel, so just understand. Now, I'm not saying, so this guy has had some, one of his majors was in accounting, not economics per se, but he has had some experience during his career in not marketing per se, but just how things work, and as far as economics and business and things. This is toward the beginning of the book. This is 14% in the book. This is the main character, Henry Maddox. Henry Maddox is the marketing guru in this book, all right? And he starts out as the bad guy, all right? He's talking about this is what happened back in the 1950s. He says, from hula hoops to yo-yos to blue jeans, the free market recognized the seemingly limitless potential of exploiting, listen to that word, exploiting the teenager for profit. Now, my take on this novel is when he is putting words in Henry Maddox's mouth about what happened in the past, I think this is a pretty good bet as to what has gone down. When we get to the current situation in the novel, what happens, boy, I hope things aren't that bad, but who knows, all right? So, going on, quoting Henry Maddox, one of the main characters, to someone studying consumerism, the 1950s was the beginning of something big, market fragmentation, and this is huge in the novel. A previously homogeneous market had now been separated into at least two pieces, the family being one piece and the teenager being the other. As marketers drove the wedge between the family and the teenager deeper, greater market potential, in other words, money-making potential, emerged. The family and the teenager began to have increasingly distinct preferences. Marketers employed the new mediums of television, film, and rock and roll music to accelerate the notion that teenagers should rebel against his out-of-touch parents. So here's how this marketing fragmentation goes down. This is 15%. It's just a couple of pages later. To successfully fragment a market, a business must do the following. Identify a market that has high disposable income characteristics, i.e. market opportunity, which again means, companies can make a lot of money. Number 2, figure out a way to fragment that market into at least 2 distinct segments. How do you do that? Well, basically, like he was saying before, you put a wedge. You interfere in the relationships between people. Use advertising mediums to define characteristics of the new market fragments. And number 4, produce products or services to meet the needs of these new market segments. I want you to get this, okay? The new market segment, when they were just part of the, like the teenagers were just part of a family. They weren't the teenage market. They were just part of the family market, okay? Well, back then, they didn't have needs, okay? They didn't have these separate needs. But when companies and marketers say, hey, well, if we can manipulate these people into thinking that they need something, well, guess what? Then we can make money out of them. So we need to, make them think they have separate needs than they used to, and then provide products and services to meet the needs because it's all about the money, honey. So a page or 2 later, a student gives an example of market fragmentation, saying, well, stay-at-home moms, don't have a lot of disposable income, so then the companies and the marketers start making being a stay-at-home mom not seem very sexy and not very valuable, and so we have to get those stay-at-home moms wanting to go back to work so that they will have money. Well, if a stay-at-home mom becomes a working mom, they need a new wardrobe. They might need a better car. They need makeup or better makeup. All of a sudden, they need to go out and get their hair styled. All of a sudden, they need all these things because they can't be satisfied with being a stay-at-home mom anymore because marketing has made it seem not valuable. All right, here's a quote from Henry Maddox again. He says, market fragmentation is a deliberate and calculated process. Again, I don't think the author of this novel is making this stuff out of his head, okay? Not at this point. When a market begins to fragment, social philosopher types always question whether such an evolution is healthy for our culture. As a capitalist, I want to get through this stage quickly, get the horse out of the barn, so to speak, so that the incentives are so strong to perpetuate the fragmentation that any discussion over whether dual income households are good for society, for example, is irrelevant. The fragmentation is considered necessary. So the marketers and the advertisers, they get the media. Hello, if you're still watching the evening news and believing that everything they say is true, come on, people. That's one good thing about the internet. I know you're not supposed to believe everything on the internet, but you get a whole wide variety of perspectives from the internet than you can just watching one news channel. They are biased by the media who are trying to force a certain message to fragment the market so you will spend more money. Then Henry Maddox goes on to say why it's more profitable for countries if couples divorce. Sure, if they're just living together, they're going to spend a lot less money on stuff, right? But if they separate, now they're going to be spending their own money on all sorts of things. Yeah, hello. And you thought it was just the evolution of culture that, we've been brainwashed into this, folks. Here's a direct quote from the character Henry Maddox again. As marketers, we can promote an idealized and unobtainable image of a marital relationship. Soon, each partner in a marriage begins to think they're missing out on something. We incorporate storylines in movies and television shows where people fall out of love. We can run articles in magazines and newspapers about what it means to fall in love. We take reason out of the equation. We convince people that no one decides to love. Couples must fall helplessly into a relationship. This way, they can just as easily fall out. And he goes on to say, so the answer is yes, we as marketers can and do break up marriages. We orchestrate the message through several different mediums simultaneously so that divorce appears to be easy and normal. And yes, breaking families apart is good for business. Okay, not too much later, this is still the character Henry Maddox speaking. Our modern marketing mantra has become never be satisfied. People who are content, such as, oh, I don't know, minimalists, are of no use to us. No use to us. Who's us? The marketers. Consumers who are unsatisfied, listen to this, can be manipulated. In the marketing world, we want to constantly make people feel unfulfilled and miserable. I could go on and on and on. I never bookmark places in novels, but man, I marked that one up. I encourage you, it's The Curtain by Patrick Ord. I encourage you to spend a few dollars and read that book, especially if you've been on the fence about minimalism. Yeah, what he gets into later in the story is really scary, but again, I mean, I've heard certain social media sites that it's like the #1 social media site after YouTube, and I won't mention names, but the guy who owns it is named Mark something. They're kind of like Big Brother, and they watch to see what you're interested in, so they know what to advertise to you. Now, hopefully, places like that online aren't quite as slimy as what is implied later in this novel. But, oh my gosh, if it is actually happening, what Patrick Ord writes about, we are in a scary situation. And if you want to not be in that scary situation, the only solution is to become a minimalist and to stop allowing yourself to be manipulated by marketing. You have to not care. You have to be just happy to be yourself and be content and not care about what other people think. You know, you can, say start a YouTube channel, be a woman who's got a YouTube channel and you don't wear makeup because you've never worn makeup, and you're not going to start wearing makeup because other people expect you to wear makeup because you're on YouTube. Okay, that's marketing BS. Okay, and ooh, I could get off on a tangent on lots of things. Yeah, huge, maybe, freedom, the one I talked about last time. These two go together. If you are able to disentangle yourself from that manipulation and that brainwashing that the marketing industry has been doing for the last several decades, perhaps longer, but it's gotten worse lately, especially with the advent of the internet where there's ads everywhere. Oh man, that's freedom too, wouldn't you say? That's a huge freedom. Maybe it's even the biggest freedom, the freedom to be ourselves. Because we're not being manipulated into being somebody because a company wants money. All right, I had turned off my camera thinking this video's been long enough, and then I remembered there was something else I was going to say. Because some of y'all out there aren't going to believe that companies can be so manipulative as to actually try to break apart families. And by the way, that's just one example of how society has been manipulated by advertising during the last few decades. But yeah, some of you are saying, that can't really be that bad. Okay, well there was a memoir I recently downloaded. He was doing a free promo. I got it. I'm on the Book Gorilla email, and he was providing his book for free. I read half of it. I couldn't keep going because this guy has no standard of ethics or morals. He says in his book, all marketers are liars, and if you read the kinds of things that he did when he was young, I mean, no regard for the company he was working for, I mean, stealing. I mean, basically what he was doing was stealing. He still has no shame or no apologies about it. I am my own God, basically. He admits that I am my own God and I can make up the rules, and my rules say I can manipulate. I'm paraphrasing, but if you were to read his book, this memoir, you would understand. Because I am my own God, I can make the rules. I don't have to have any standard of ethics, and I can manipulate people and steal from them as much as I want. This is like one of the, if not the top internet marketers since internet marketing started. Folks, I mean, he didn't pull this out of thin air, okay? He's not the only one, okay? There's nothing new under the sun. Thanks a lot for watching. If this video has opened your eyes and made you go, oh my God, please share this video, because everybody needs to know about this. Everybody needs to read that novel. Even though it's not the best written novel, it's still pretty darn interesting. Whew! I'll see you for the next video. In the meantime, don't go out and give a whole bunch of money to a department store this weekend. Instead, give to your favorite charity.